between Wesley So and Arjun Erigaisi, and is Wesley So finally getting his first game win in the tour finals?
It's looking good, but some hard work to be done.
Okay.
Black's pieces are starting to gather around that white king. If we do a quick material count, it's actually level pieces, level pawns on the board. But the reason the computer likes white so much is, firstly, 2 bishops, control over really important squares. Black's attack is actually more of an illusion, if anything, and also white's b5 pawn is the only passed pawn in the position, and that's going to start running. Jovanka, are you surprised that the computer gives such a huge advantage for white, despite level material?
No, I'm not surprised that the computer is giving such a massive advantage, because computers are just chill. You know, they don't care about attacks. But as a human, I can tell you, I would not be so confident. I would be definitely on a red alert, just watching the white king, making sure that it's protected. Because, like you say, that b pawn, that's a long-term trump.
Yeah. And meanwhile, Erigaisi is playing the move that all top chess players play nowadays. If they want to just make the position messy, if they want to scare the opponent, they push the h-pawn forward. And, OK, Wesley, he's trying to say it's not just long-term, it's also short-term. That white b-pawn only 2 squares away from promotion now. The black rooks can blockade, but they will be tied down if they go in front of this white pawn. And they'll be unable to participate in any potential attack. If you look at white's pieces, the white king looks like it's a bit lonely over there, but along the second rank, the white queen actually defends the key g2 point. And black's queen and knight alone, that duo, yes, they're a fearsome attacking duo, but right now, they're just not creating anything. They need to kind of, they need some support, some backup.
Yeah. And all the meanwhile, he's moved his rook 1 square, just keeping an eye on the passed b-pawn. I predict that the h-pawn probably has to march up the board as far as it can go. And try to get some weakness or some hint of a weakness somewhere. Because sometimes what you need is ghosts. You need your opponent to be afraid of something and start contorting, making bad decisions.
Yeah, it feels like Wesley is slightly afraid, at least, of some attack against the white king, because look at the clock times. Wesley's down at 40 seconds. He spent a long time since we jumped into this game. And I can understand. The white king, yeah, it is a bit of a target, and Wesley's another one of those types of players. He fits the mold of someone who doesn't really want to be attacked. He wants a risk-free advantage, and this is an advantage for white. We're not debating that, but it's not risk-free. If you abandon your king, you might get checkmated. If black can whip up some kind of storm against it, create some weaknesses, as he's trying to do, as you mentioned, Jovanka, with this h-pawn advance, then suddenly things are less simple. And you don't really want to go and capture this black knight with white's dark-squared bishop, because that would only open up black's dark-squared bishop potentially. And, OK, he's inviting some sacrifices. Ooh. This looks risky. Black's knight could take this pawn. Black's queen could move. He's playing with fire suddenly, Wesley So.
Yeah, and just saw the evaluation bar suddenly shift itself towards the center. I mean, the first move that jumps out is sacrifice the knight. Take that pawn and give some checks to the king.
Yeah.
But you do have to remember that sacrifice pieces don't have to be captured.
Yeah, they don't have to be captured. And also, some concrete calculation is required. Erigaisi suddenly leaning forward, looking excited. Here, there is a rule of thumb. Don't touch pawns in front of your king, especially when you're being attacked. It only creates weaknesses. As you mentioned, knight takes pawn looks so tempting. But after the knight is recaptured, we have to do some calculation. There's maybe this check. If the pawn is captured, however, white's queen can swing across to the defense. And suddenly, after queen takes bishop, what's happening here? This is a check. Black's king has nowhere to run. This can be blocked by black's bishop, but it gets incredibly complicated. I mean, I have no idea of the evaluation here, and he has gone for it. He's played the most tempting move. Like you said, Jovanka, after knight takes pawn, it doesn't necessarily need to be captured. You could make an argument for dropping back with white's bishop, maybe, or you could just ignore this. But what is Wesley So's trick? What is up his sleeve? He's just given up a pawn, and it's all about just distracting the black knight. Now he's trying to force through this pawn by brute force. He's trying to eliminate the blockader. If, for example, the black knight retreats, he's going to eliminate one blockader and then a second blockader. This rook now, because it's pinned, can no longer hold back this white b-pawn. White will make a new queen. So black has to be fast. There's no time to just calmly retreat, for example. What is a fast move? OK, he captures this pawn. He takes it off the board. I'm expecting to see a trade of rooks now. What has Wesley got? He's 2 pawns down. He's got 10 seconds left. Computer still likes his position, but he doesn't trade off rooks. I was going to say maybe exchange off one of Black's defenders of his king. First, he steps into the center, hitting this black rook. Apparently, it might be a mistake.
It looks like a mistake because the rook can just simply return to where it came from. And it feels like Wesley is panicking under the time pressure because he's taking all sorts of strange decisions. He's lost his big asset. The b-pawn disappeared.
I mean, earlier he had pretty much the same position, just with a pawn on this square.
Yeah.
And what is his idea now? Because he's 2 pawns down, and Black's knight, if it gets a chance, will save itself. Arjun might just be 2 pawns up for nothing. Wesley so down to 3 seconds. Has he moved? Oh,
yeah.
He made a move with 2 seconds left. He captured this knight, but suddenly, look at this. Black is just going to capture this white bishop.
Could also give a check as well.
Yeah, you could give a check first along the diagonal and only capture this bishop next move. And I think you can get away with either. You can take this bishop, and if white takes this pawn, if you really, really want to play it safe, just retreat with the black queen. Swap the queens off, and only black can win because black has 2 extra pawns. It's opposite color bishops, but it's Erigaisi now with the chances.
Wow.
Wesley's fighting for his life, fighting for the draw.
In all the other matches, game ones have ended with wins for the player with the white pieces. But do you think it's unlikely that Wesley So will do the same?
It's very unlikely now. There is some hint of an attack against the black king, especially on the light squares if white can give a check now, but black's queen should be able to swoop back and defend at some point. Yeah, it feels like Erigaisi, by giving some checks, he's playing it safe. But yeah, he should be the only one to win this game, if anyone. Maybe Wesley can hold a draw just because there is this opposite color bishops dynamic.
Ooh, but take a look at that move. He's just moved his king. I would have thought it's so dangerous to leave the queens on the board. And now look at this.
Yeah.
The pawn is moving forward. Black's rook is getting ready to swing to the F line.
You fear for Wesley's life?
I do fear for Wesley. I fear that he's on tilt, actually. He's thinking back to the position that he had, and he's saying, I should have won. And there you can see him shaking his head. Oh, this is such a difficult position. I'm hoping that Wesley just throws in some defensive moves because I'm very worried for the white king.
Wow, talking of defensive moves, he's brought his rook the whole way up. He's just trying to eliminate the rooks, get those off the board. He was too scared that the white king is more open than the black king. But yeah, it's both kings in mating nets, essentially. Neither king is completely safe while queens stay on the board. But by removing the rooks, Wesley has said, OK, no checkmates yet for you, Erigaisi. And OK, the rooks have disappeared. Yeah, black's so close to delivering checkmate, but white's queen from g6 comes and guards some key checking squares. So black can't, for example, use his queen to checkmate yet. Black's bishop is not participating in the attack, which means Erigaisi might not be able to give any decisive checks here. OK, Erigaisi bails out to a draw. He was too worried there. It was just too chaotic, too double-edged. And by taking the queens off the board, opposite color bishops, black's extra pawn doesn't matter.
I think it was a sensible decision, especially with the clock ticking down and the position threatening to get so wild. It's totally fair, and the players have agreed a draw.
Oh, it was looking so good for Wesley So with the white pieces in game one here. But he still hasn't won a single game in the tour finals. Not in his best shape yet in the Meltwater Champions Chess Tour 2022. This is his debut this season, but he had a massive performance in the 2021 season. Looking over the other games, all of them ended with the win for the white player, but in this one, it was a draw.